welcome to Philippines Discovery. Lisa here, your honorary Filipina. Today we are going to talk about teaching English online in the Philippines. If you're planning to retire there, you might want to supplement your retirement, or if you're just going to be there for an extended period, this is a good way to make some extra income. So today we're going to see how you can leverage teaching online, because the Philippines is a great location for doing this. So we are talking about teaching English as a second language when we say teaching online. You do not have to be a native speaker. You don't have to speak a second language. I get this question a lot. You don't need teaching experience, but it certainly helps teaching in any subject. And you don't need a bachelor's degree. It's really a matter of finding the company that fits your circumstances, that fits your experience. What is really happening right now? Physical classrooms are emptying out. There is a surge of online teaching. Even before the pandemic, English language companies were already operating online, and they are hiring now. It is not too late. So get started now. Establish yourself with a company before moving to the Philippines. That way you're all set. Being in Asia is actually an advantage. So the Philippines is in that time zone with China, and that is an advantage, and I'll explain why later. So you can teach English online from the comfort of your home, including the Philippines, really anywhere on earth if you connect with the right company. You have a flexible schedule. There's usually no minimum hours, or they're very low. So you can do this part-time. You don't have to teach full-time. First thing that you'll need is a TEFL or a TESOL certificate, and it stands for Teaching English as a Foreign or Second Language. So this is the first thing that you need. You can go to companies like iTOi. You can do this online. It costs about $100 to $500. And this is completely online. There are in-person classes, but online classes are cheaper. And it's about 120 to 180 hours that it will take you, so not very long. What you need, a laptop and high-speed internet connection. Most companies will not allow you to use a tablet or your cell phone. You usually need to be hardwired, meaning your Ethernet cable has to be connected to your modem. Why? Because you get a better stable connection. You can't have students complaining that they keep dropping out of the class because of your connection. So this is typical of most companies. They won't allow you to operate on Wi-Fi. Certainly check that beforehand. Some will, but you have to have a stable connection. So if you're going to be deep in the province and that's going to be an issue, be careful. You do need a headset with a microphone built in. Why? Because this also is for clarity of sound, so the student can hear you and you can hear the student best. So again, this is usually a requirement for most English language companies. So if you don't have one, certainly get one. I will put links in the description to the companies that I will suggest later, also iTOi, where you can get that certification. What is a platform you'll be using? Zoom in many cases, Skype, or companies have their own proprietary platform. How you'll be paid, PayPal or direct deposit is very common. So you can easily get your money. That won't be an issue, being in the Philippines. Payment schedule, typically you get paid monthly. So if you finish your class end of January, you won't get paid till February. You always get paid for the previous month. This is an industry standard, usually by the 5th or the 10th or the 15th. Again, it depends on the company. Get the experience now. Research online ESL companies, and I will suggest some in a little bit that are reputable, and find the ones that fit your needs. Always ask if the company has their own curriculum. If you're teaching kids, usually they do have materials for you. Sometimes you have to find your own or a combination of both. So ask them, what is their curriculum like? Do you provide training? Make sure you get these questions answered ahead of time. So do your research. I've personally enjoyed teaching online, both to kids and adults, and I think you will too. It's very satisfying. So being in the Philippine time zone is an advantage because most online companies teach Chinese kids. They're based in China, or there are a large population of Chinese kids that want to learn English now. It's actually an industry boom. So there is work out there. And And so you don't have to get up super early to teach these kids because you're in the same time zone, right? Being in the US, teaching kids in China can be pretty hairy if you're not a morning person. You can also teach adults. There's plenty of work teaching adults, and they usually know some English unless they're a true beginner. And if they are a true beginner and they speak your native language, then sometimes they'll use you to teach those students that are true beginners. There's business English and there's general English. So again, always make sure what kind of material and what are the expectations of the company. So get those questions answered ahead of time and make sure you scour the website to make sure that you understand all the expectations. So here is how you can leverage being in the Philippines. Use the power of the exchange rate. So in this example, we'll say $1 US dollar is to 50 pesos. So let's say you get paid $10 US an hour. You can freeze the slide if you need to. And you work for 4 weeks for 10 hours, 40 hours a month. Not very much work, right? You make $400 a month. You make 20,000 pesos when we exchange that. Because remember, you can get paid in US dollars while living in the Philippines. That's great. Let's do it with euros. So companies do pay in euros if they're based in Europe. You don't have to be there, but they're based in Europe. They'll pay you in euros. Same thing, 10 hours a week for 4 weeks, not a lot of time. You'll make 400 euros a month. So you make 24,000 pesos. You just gave yourself a raise. So find the companies that pay you in euros and pay you in US dollars or another currency perhaps. So you don't want to get paid in Filipino pesos, right? You want to get paid in a foreign currency. So here are some companies that you can check out. LINGODA, very reputable. They are European based. They do pay in euros. So that's definitely a company to check out. The website has all the requirements here. So you can go ahead and just apply as a teacher. Usually on the top, they'll say become a teacher or tutor, or scroll down to the bottom of the website and there'll be a button where you can apply. So it's usually pretty obvious how you can apply to be a teacher on these websites. So LINGODA, definitely a good one. I have done some work for them. I was contracted with them for a little bit. A good company. CAMBLY is another one. This one is not as structured as LINGODA. LINGODA has a lot of their own curriculum material. This one is basically conversation, no teaching certificate, no bachelor's degree needed, no prior teaching experience. Pretty easy to get hired here. Again, they're not as structured, but you can make some money, and I believe they pay weekly. So just check that one out, sent right to your PayPal. So that can be pretty nice to have some money coming in. And then the next one we have is ACADSOC. And here you can see you can easily be based in the Philippines because even the drop down, they ask you your location. And again, make sure you're not getting paid in Filipino pesos. So always check that. They have a nice process laid out, what is required. In interview, you get an offer, there's teacher training and so on. So read that one. Next one, 51 Talk. Also a reputable company. You apply online, they give you the requirements, and you just really start teaching. So it's not a long process for a lot of these companies to start teaching. Sometimes I start teaching within a couple days of getting hired. VIPKID is another one. So just click the Become a Teacher on their website, and it will take you through the process. They're sort of all over the web, VIPKID, but I've seen a lot of good, reviews of this. I haven't worked for them, but it's a good one. iTutor Group. Also a good company. Again, Chinese students, the teaching requirements are there. They do teach kids and adults, and you can just apply now, and they give you the benefits. So decide if you want to teach kids or adults. You can definitely teach both, but sometimes a company dictates that. So if you feel you can't be very lively with the kids, then it might not be for you. Maybe go with adults. So please subscribe. Hopefully this was helpful. I do have a link to a playlist for more details on this process. It will link you to my other channel where I give teaching English tips to teachers and students, but definitely teaching English in the Philippines is the way to go. See you next time on Philippines Discovery.